Get this countdown. Now it's official. It's official. It's like a
So
ref with a whistle.
Oh, yeah, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See, got it. All right. So we're going to do the countdown.
We got one of them.
3, 2, 1. Yo, yo, yo. 3 yo's, and you know what's going on. That means we back in the building.
Yes, sir.
The Say Something Show is in full effect. No worries. Stay calm. We got it all locked in for y'all. Again, just a friendly reminder. Our goal is to get to 50 subscribers. We're going to keep giving y'all that friendly nudge and push every episode just as a reminder to help us grow, help this channel grow, help get me and Money Mitch in front of you guys live so that we can be interactive and really enjoying the time in real time with y'all.
Yeah.
So once we get to 50, again, we're going to make sure that we have a giveaway. We're going to have something special for you guys. So be sure to be a part of that first 50. Only way to be eligible.
Yes, sir.
Without any more riffraff, we're going to get right to the business. So we have some great stuff on the agenda. As always, we would never come to this table, to that camera lens, if we didn't have some fire for y'all. Yeah. So as we usually do, we like to start with something that's pretty relevant in terms of chronological order. So we're going to be in the NBA. As you guys know, the finals is fully underway. It is going, if you're a Dallas fan, it hasn't started. If you're a Boston fan, it is fully in motion. So that means that Boston's up 2-0. There's been 2 home games played for Boston. In my opinion, won pretty handily, both of them. There's definitely some things that we're going to break down as we go and kind of discuss this finals as a whole. But first, I just want to let my boy dive in. But before we do any of that as well, you know, I almost messed up on a tradition. And we're going to make sure that we don't do that, which if you guys have been with us, you understand that we love to do our homie check-in to make sure we're on the same page before we get to any of the content. And because I gave you guys that extra push to the 50, I forgot that, you know, we got to make sure the mind, body, soul is all in the right place before we begin. So, Mitch, how you feeling? Apologies on my end for not doing that.
Everything's cool, man. Everything's been going well. The weather's been great. Been outside, hanging out, getting some vitamin D, getting that sunlight, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, exactly. Soaking it in, working, just enjoying life right now. How about you?
Absolutely, man. Things are good. Things are good. Lots of running around, you know, busier than usual, which has been good. You know, I went through a little lull and not being super busy, trying to keep myself busy. And so now, you know, having more stuff on the plate and stuff that I've been kind of waiting on. Some of it's finally begun, which is, you know, is good and nerve-wracking all at the same time.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm just excited for it, and I'm ready to put the thinking cap on and kind of take this next step in life. And continue to grow this podcast channel, which I feel like, you know, is just going to continue to flourish. And I'm just super excited to, you know, as we've always done, be able to come here, connect, vent, but also look over some of our favorite subjects in the world of sports and bring it to the people that we love. So, yeah, so that's the check-in. You know, as always, we won't forget those. And you guys should make sure you're doing those with you and the people you care for, man. And check-in, you never know what it might do for somebody's day. So, and make sure you guys are doing that. So, yeah, back to the handoff. I'll just give it right back to you like a John Stockton pass. Boston up 2-0 on the Mavs. Take us through a little bit of how you've seen this going so far and whatever else you want to put in there.
Man, it's been rough for the Mavs so far. So far, it's been basically Luka Doncic by himself with the rest of the crew not joining them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else they need to do. They've had guys like Derrick Jones Jr. and P.J. Washington who were very key into them even getting to the finals, getting through all these rounds, playing great defense and adding some offense.
Yep.
Right now I'm seeing Derrick Jones Jr. airballing wide open 3 balls. It's like, come on, man. Like, they need something out of you two. You guys weren't the exact key, but you guys are definitely a big reason that they were getting this far. So
absolutely,
you need to get more out of them. I feel like the Celtics defense has really taken out Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. They have been basically non-factors in this series so far. Kristaps has been killing them down low. Al Horford, everybody playing collective defense on the Celtics has basically been stopping Luka from being able to be productive with anybody else. He's getting his, but at the same time, has about like 8 turnovers a game.
Yeah.
So he really needs those other guys to step it up, make moves, cuts to get open, and be reliable when they do get the ball, because everybody's going to key in on Luka no matter what. If he drives, everybody is crashing on him.
Yep.
He's the main focal point on offense. So what does that mean? Kyrie, we need you to show up, buddy.
Yeah.
Where you at?
After all that talk.
Right? After everything, we refound this stuff after the last series win against Minnesota. Nah.
Gone.
It's not happening right now. They need Minnesota Kyrie back. You know what I'm saying? They need that series Kyrie back. Where's the 25 in the first half? You guys need a spark. That's where you guys are lacking. I know they got Hosier, they got Peyton Pritchard, they got Derek White, Drew Holiday, Tatum, all rotating on you on defense, which I understand as a shorter player makes it tougher.
Mm-hmm.
But this is when you have to show off your championship pedigree, your amazing ball handling skills, your ability to finish, and also dish to other players by creating the defense coming to you. That has to really show out, because just playing in the back and finding your time and being passive is not going to get you guys a championship. And hopefully it's just going to be evened out, where the Mavs lost the 2 away games and now they're going to be at home, and hopefully they can win those ones. But if the Celtics win one of these games, it's pretty much over. So both these games matter.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense for them to try and be like easy about it. They need to find a game plan offensively to get some points on the board, because Celtics shot terribly. Jason Tatum has played terribly, and they've kept them in the game. It's like it hasn't been good Celtics. It's been bad Mavs, in my opinion.
Yep.
So I think if Jason Tatum does show up, it's going to equal a blowout for the Celtics. But if the Mavs can step up their defense and find a way to get guys like Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively and the lobs back into play and move the Celtics defense around, I think they have a chance. But if they lose one of these games, it's not looking good for them.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree. I think that the stats are pretty discouraging in terms of, at least so far, it's 2-game sample size. But, defensively, the Dallas Mavericks have a total of 8.5. Really, let's call it 8. Steals and blocks so far in 2 games.
Yeah.
That means you're basically playing no defense because, with the amount of possessions played in an NBA game, the likelihood of you ending up with 8 in 2 games, which is 4, and that's between 2 stats, so it's 2 of each. It's almost customary in the league, on league average, to have that whatever team you are. Yeah. It's not even like it's just like if you go out there, if you go out there, that's going to happen. So that's sad that, like, in a finals, you're getting a stat that is like a by default stat. That's crazy. I also think that, Doncic averaging 6 assists is terrible.
It's because it's the lack of shot making.
Surely,
you guys are not making.
They've missed a lot. They've missed a lot as well, and they're not doubling Luka, which Luka is very, very used to kicking out of the double. But what I believe is this is where, in my opinion, Luka needs to take that step forward and alter these stats. And again, it's not that he's underperforming in terms of overall stats, but to me, we don't need you rebounding as much, because this is all about where you're placing yourself on the court, right? And so, like, when I'm looking at him getting 31 points, 10.5 rebounds, and 6 assists, to me, that's like Giannis numbers, which are still great and awesome. But in my opinion, for Luka to be a guy who's holding the ball that much, with the skills that he has, you need to be taking a step forward in terms of creating some of this stuff as well, and making it to where no matter what's going on in the game, you should be a triple-double threat. You know what I mean? And I do think that he should be looking into how to get Kyrie revved up more.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, Kyrie has to be playing perfect in order to get it going alongside Luka. And I think it's time Luka understand that against teams like the Celtics, where you are overmatched on paper, you're not going to beat them like that. That's not a win. It's just to go at them and try to overpower them. And just like you mentioned, with the amount of bodies on the perimeter that they have to throw at both of them, I find it hard pressed for me to think that he wouldn't be looking at this as a real challenge in order to win the matchup in a different way.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm looking for in these next couple games is I need a higher assist rate because my other big point to that is nobody else on that team is going to get assists.
Right.
So if there was another guy like Jalen Brunson, right, still there, or even a TJ McConnell off the bench, then you're like, okay, fine, give me 6. But like when you go down that roster,
there's nobody.
You're not even going to get another 4. You shouldn't be expecting 4 assists from not another soul. And so I don't know how you win in the league, especially against a team that the whole other starting 5 might give you 3 assists at least. And then you look at Kyrie to me, and you averaging 14 points in an NBA final, and
very underwhelming.
We all know that Dallas won't win against many teams if PJ Washington is their number 2 scorer. I mean, I don't see who they beat, and so with that being said, and let me just read to you real quick the top 5 scores for Dallas. You have 31 points for Luka Doncic. You have PJ Washington at 15-5. Okay, so that's already half. 15, we're already at half. And I'm not mad at PJ for the 15. I'm just saying we've cut the number in half already with your second leading scorer.
Yeah.
And then we're at 14 with Kyrie. Then we're at 10-5 with Gafford, and I feel like those numbers are skewed because I feel like he's given 1 good game and 1 absolutely garbage game, but whatever, that's averages. And then you have Derrick Jones at 8.
Derrick Jones has been poop.
So we're talking about your top 5 scorers, everybody but the number 1 guy is at 15 or below. In this era of the NBA, that's not going to do. You might be able to hang with the, in the late 90s, early 2000s with those kind of, you play in the Pistons, you can rock with those kind of averages. But not today and not against a team like this. And then lastly, I would just say, with Jason Tatum, this kind of leads me into my second point that we'll talk about a little bit here, is if the Celtics end up winning this series, however they do.
When they do.
Yeah. And Jason Tatum's numbers don't aggressively rise, does this affect Jason Tatum's career? And let me, and I'm going to just leave you with that, but let me read you the numbers. So he's at 17 points a game, okay, 10 rebounds, which I love, and 8.5 assists, which is great, but he's also at 4.5 turnovers. So let's call it, really you're at a 4, 4 true assists. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you're at 0.5 steals and 0.5 blocks. So let's call it no defense. And shooting 75% from free throw, 28% from the 3, and 31% from the field.
That's tough. I think that the Celtics have been playing really good defense, so I want to shout out them for their defense. I think that is attributed to why these guys are not shooting as well as they were. I think they're just under a lot more pressure, and even trying to get to the rim, they're not being able to get there without at least like 3 people with a hand in the air with them. So I think that's a big reason why they're getting these W's and making the Mavs offense look so bad. But to go to Jason Tatum, man, those are some rough stats to hear.
That's in 43. That's in like 43 minutes too. Like he's playing the highest minutes by 4 minutes.
I mean, this isn't anything new. This is kind of what happened to him when he played against the Warriors and the last time he was in the championship. I don't know what it does to his legacy. I think if they win it and Jaylen Brown gets or Drew Holiday ends up winning the MVP, it'll kind of be how Steph was getting looked at when he won a championship and Andre Iguodala was the MVP.
Yeah, but even people said like Steph could have deserved that.
Yeah, that's true. But it would be reminiscent of something like that to me, where I'm just like, I mean, you were supposed to be like you're supposed to be that guy, but I don't know. I don't know why it's shrinking. It's hard to say, man.
Yeah,
Like
it's
the
super
shot
weird.
is looking broke as hell.
Super weird. I mean, shooting 31% from the field is.
I don't know.
You're
Maybe
6'10".
yeah, man. That it's really unexplainable, honestly. For you to be that kind, a superstar type player and just come up short again in the biggest stage, it's like you're very lucky that you're playing the Mavericks.
Bruh,
Not,
and that you
what I
have
mean?
all
Like,
those other guys.
and you have, yeah, and that's like you guys are such a stacked team compared to them as well. Like,
bruh. Everybody else in that starting five and their sixth man is shooting at least 43%.
I mean, and then
So
you
it's
just
like you are staggered. Like he is the lowest shooting guy on the entire roster of anybody that's getting major minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And the only person who's lower than him is Peyton Pritchard. And that's because Peyton Pritchard has shot 4 times so far.
Boy, shoots 4 times in 2 minutes.
Even Sam Hauser is shooting better than Jason Tatum. And he's been broke.
He's been broke.
He's not even shooting well.
Yeah, man. I mean, just got hopefully in these next couple of games he can turn around and put up some 40-pointers because that's what it's going to take to change people's mind in this series.
Right.
It's like, and hopefully they're in some close games where they need all 40 of those, and we're hitting the shots down the stretch.
Let's hope, man. And I feel bad too because we've all been watching it, and it's like, just like you're saying, I don't even know what it is anymore. Like, I don't even know what we're watching, really. Like, I do know that when you have a stacked team, things like this can happen. But, like,
I mean, his jumper looks broke all the time, but it's like he didn't make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He played up 30-point games and shit like that.
Right.
It's not a surprise to me that it's not going in, but it's like at the same time it has been. So what changed in the brokenness to where it's now completely broke and not going in?
Right. I mean, for me, my biggest thing is just where is the bulldog mentality? Where is this Jason Tatum who says he's the best player on the court every time he steps out there? Because there are good guys defending him. Don't get me wrong. Derrick Jones, these guys are good long wings with almost bodies prototypically built to guard a Jason Tatum. But I'm like, bro, if you're guarding me in 2K with Derrick Jones and I'm Jason Tatum, I'm getting buckets. Get off me. Hell one, all type of shit. So that is for me. And yes, I know 2K video game, blah, 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 blah. But I'm just saying, like, this is a guy who's supposed to be an alpha of alphas. And the reality is, I don't even see a true matchup that the Mavericks are providing that he should be turning the other way from. And so when I read these stats, I just see passive all over it because the extras scream to how talented he is, right? Getting 10 rebounds, 8.5 assists. Like, every Jason Tatum fan is going to be, drooling over those stats. To me, it's like that just proves how much he's lacking everywhere else because he can do that with his eyes closed. And he's doing that because he's scared to play in the moment and really go for it. And, he's shooting 19 shots a game, which is, it's not like light. Yeah, it's not like that's extremely low when you have a team like this. But the reality is, bro, ain't no other superstar in the finals averaging 19 shots a game. And I don't care if you got to go out having
up 40.
Bruh, I don't care if you have to go out having a bad game. Doing this it's just so passive. It's insane. Like Kyrie Irving is averaging 19 shots a game. And he's putting up nothing, but he's at least, and it's like
he's a Robin,
bro, and he's playing next to Luka, who's literally like there's only a quarter of a ball left once I'm done, and so to me, I do think it affects his legacy. I do think that if they win decisively, and Jason Tatum's numbers don't even, I think they're gonna improve inevitably. I think 17 is gonna be hard to stay there, but I think that if they don't get to 30 in average. Like if they're low dubs, I don't think it matters in terms of how people look at what they're looking at right now. And I do believe that it's already affected his ability to be looked at for MVPs and things like that. and it would just be another notch down down the ladder, the NBA ladder, in my opinion, of superstardom in terms of fandom belief, league belief, player belief. I mean, if this isn't a dude with the biggest opportunity in the world to lay stake to that moment, like, make a claim for it as his own, it'd be like LeBron winning his first one. And,
the rest of the team was the reason they won.
And D-Wade and Bosh just went crazy. And it's like LeBron never, I don't know. To me, I don't see how it could.
And it couldn't even be that because D-Wade had already won a championship. Yeah. So if he had won the MVP, then it's still like, well, at least he's done that before.
Right, right. And yeah, so to me, it's just, I don't see how it couldn't. And it's weird because I don't know if I've ever thought a player could be in that position where they're in a final, in a place where they've never been, kind of needing it for their career, and might even take it home and have it potentially negatively affect his career. Maybe not negatively, but surely isn't going to be a boost.
It's just the fact that the team is also so stacked.
So good.
It doesn't help his case for anything. Really.
No, it doesn't.
At the end of the day,
it doesn't.
When the rest of the team is that good, just shows the difference in talent.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, and if you're not somebody who's going to be the person to step up, it's like, well, are you the superstar of that team, or are you just another guy who's really good, just like everybody else on that
team? Exactly. Which, to me, we had the opportunity and the blessing of watching the Warriors, who were the other team that was more stacked than this, had way better roster than this top to bottom. And it was very clear who our two best players were.
Definitely.
And I don't think anybody in Dub Nation ever wavered on, where do we look in those moments, And I don't get that from Tatum. Like, I don't know. It's something about the way he's been and just, it doesn't match up with what he says, and so
it's interesting. It's interesting that Steph's moment where he pretty much like showed that he could carry the team was against the Celtics and Jason Tatum, of all people. So it's interesting that he didn't learn that from Steph and then be like, all right, let me apply that now to this series.
Absolutely. And it'd be one thing if he's going up against like a Kawhi or something like this, but like,
you're not going up against nobody.
Like we said,
it's light work.
There's no magic you should be turning down. So lastly, actually, this also ties in. Do we think that Game 3 is Kyrie's biggest game of his career? Since these are the two guys with probably the most scrutiny walking into Game 3, how do you feel about that?
I think it'll just like tarnish everything all the momentum that they had built coming into the finals, where it's just like, oh, Kyrie, we thought like you gave us like just a little inkling that you are coming back and are going to be better than ever, and then I don't know, you just started talking too much, and it's just like, oh yeah, now let me tell you about how you guys were so wrong about all my philosophies and all this, and now it's back to the Kyrie we've been experiencing. So it's going to be a big game to me in that aspect. In totality, I think he already is the player. He's solidified himself. He's played in the league long enough, won a championship, showed his skills. So I think overall, for me, same old Kyrie, but I think definitely everything that was built up coming into this series is just like, that was just fool's gold.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that, I think it can play a part in kind of being one of the bigger games in his career. I think it'd be hard to look at the whole scale of his career and go, this is the biggest moment. But I do think in a certain way, the more I thought about the question, the more I did put validity to the fact that this might be one of his biggest games because of the fact that this is kind of the new Kyrie. And I definitely would say that all of his other biggest games came behind LeBron James.
Yeah.
And, I don't think he ever gets credit for those, even though he played well. And I think he's a little bit hurt about that, and why he left probably in the first place. But when you think about it in that aspect, it does kind of remind me of Curry also. Funny that we're always bringing up Curry, right? But getting that moment to do it away and kind of telling everybody you could, and then finally getting that opportunity, and then falling flat on your face. I mean, averaging 14 points, with nothing but opportunity right at your hands, especially after looking so unguardable. I mean, God, that last series, it looked like you could have brought Bruce Bowen, every NBA first team all defender out of the woodwork.
Ron Artest, everybody.
Wouldn't have mattered, get put in the blender. And, it also speaks to how good Drew Holiday and Derek White, those guys are tremendous defenders, and we're seeing it. But I do think in a certain way, we really were sold on Kyrie going in a certain direction. And I do think that he needs that. He's been in shambles these last 5 years pretty much in the league, and finally is starting to get some blessings for the game that he's always brought to the table, and to just have this kind of moment where doesn't look like he's leading at all. I just hope he gets a chance to redeem himself, because I do think it is one of his bigger games, and I do think, at least in the new recreation of the Kyrie brand. Lastly, in the NBA section, we have Hurley, that is Dan, turning down the Lakers' job.
Dirty Dan.
Dirty Dan. So for those of you guys who don't know, the LA Lakers were trying to they're always looking for a big move. So LA, right? Always looking for a headline move, always looking for something external to make the internal feel better, right? But everybody had all this talk about JJ Redick, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're making offers on Dan Hurley. They reeled him in. Hollywood's so enticing. And decision came down yesterday. Everybody learned he was going to make it, and it didn't take long. But boy, was it hard for Laker Nation to take it. LeBron tweeted out, "Is it me? Oh, crybaby." It's very clear that this job is not
like 40 something,
bruh. And it's very clear that situation is not as enticing as everybody thinks. And I think the weight of what it's like to coach LeBron James no longer outweighs the fact that his skills are diminishing. And so you're taking on something that you can't even be guaranteed that the guy who's bringing there can really get you out of there. And I think that has become something where, if you have a good thing going, it'd be hard to want to go look at LeBron's situation and go, yeah, sign me up to be the co-face of that, right? And especially after seeing what happened with what's my boy's name? Adrian Brett from the Bucks, who got fired last year after going 31 and
from the Bucks, Bootnell?
No, black dude. He was the assistant to Doc, but he was actually their hold on, I'll get it. It was something. Adrian Griffin. I apologize, Adrian Griffin. I didn't forget your name.
That fast.
Right. And it is crazy, too. He just got rehired to be Doc's assistant, which is
awkward.
Yo. So anyway, or actually, no, maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was Darwin Ham. But regardless, it's just all awkward business in this coaching game right now. But the reason I brought Adrian Griffin up is just because he's another true sign about the NBA that, it really is more your name than what you're doing. And so it is dangerous to put your neck out of line for a lot of these jobs, because there's no guarantee that they're going to even take you for face value of what you're worth. And they may just throw you under the bus for a situation that has nothing to do with you. So what do you think about that in terms of, did you think he was ever going to take it? Or
So I'm not sure if this is his thoughts or if other people thought this way, but I kind of figured he wouldn't take the job unless it was 6 years, $100 million instead of 6 years, $70 million, which wouldn't even have put him in the higher ranks of coaches getting paid. I think he'd be the 7th or 8th best, highest paid coach. So if you're going to the Lakers, you would expect them to be a team that would pay you a lot, because they want to show that you're valuable to them. Especially if they just brought your name up out of nowhere if all the talks were talking about JJ Redick.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't think he would take it, because he's got such a good thing going at UConn right now. And the Lakers front office seems like they're in shambles. They don't know what they're doing. You have an aging LeBron, where it's only 1 or 2 years of him. And then you got a bunch of guys that you would have to put a whole another rebuild together.
Oh yeah,
it just doesn't seem like a good situation compared to where he's at already, where you have back-to-back champions with UConn going for a third in a row. Only other person to do that is John Wooden. So that if they're able to do that, he can become right there, solidifying himself as one of the top college coaches of all time. And then at that point, he could decide, hey, maybe I'll go to a better situation. Maybe the New York Knicks job will be open or something, a better opportunity that'll actually pay him more and give him his value of what he's worth. So
yeah.
I think that might have been more of his thinking is like, I don't want to leave a good situation to go to a maybe
No.
situation, especially if I can solidify myself here and have even more options in the future. Because it's not like he's not going to get offered any more jobs in the future.
Right.
He's a top guy. He's a great mind, and when it comes to basketball, a lot of people love his philosophies and his plays. So he's somebody who's going to keep getting more and more attention, especially if they win again at UConn. So my thoughts was I didn't think he would do it. I didn't think it would be a smart move for him. But at the end of the day, if they had shelled out the money, I don't think you can really pass that up.
Right.
But when it's kind of something that you can be like, I don't know,
Is it
I could get more than that.
Open up your wallet, pal.
It's like I got a pretty good thing going right now. Yeah. So until something better comes along, I think he's chilling at UConn.
Yeah, I agree. I'll keep it pretty short and sweet on that one because Mitch touched on a lot of good points. I feel like the main thing for me was that on both sides of it was one, the older you get, I think the more you appreciate not guarantees, but things that are much more of a given, like his UConn situation. He already knows what's going on, already has a comfort level, and is already bringing a prestigious program back to the heights of what it's been at any point,
turning into like a blue collar,
literally
blue blood school.
And this is a school that has been very familiar with winning and top tier players all along. But like you said, anytime you can get yourself in this range, and assuming you can maintain some consistency, because the only other school I'd say who's done something like that and kind of fallen off is like Florida, where it was like,
Syracuse,
right? Syracuse. Yeah. But Florida won back to back and had that run of like, it looked like, man,
that was that Joakim and Al Horford and
Corey Brewer. Yeah, bro. And I forgot
Parsons.
and their little guard. They had some like random, like something green, but he was like really good at just holding it together. Anyway, that was a quick shout out for you, Florida Cats. But for me, I don't think you would ever, like you said, want to give up something that is almost a guarantee for something that's a maybe. There's never really a value in that. I think that's more of a young man's risk to take. And I also think that Dan Hurley appreciates how UConn has accepted him because I think he's a very edgy coach where I think there'd be some universities that want winning and are kind of traditionalistic like UConn, but wouldn't allow him to really be himself. So I think he appreciates that. And then from the Lakers side of things, I just don't even know what the hire would do.
Yeah.
Like, they kept saying all this stuff about like, man, that would just change the culture of basketball for the Lakers. And I'm like, do we think Dan Hurley made basketball? Like, do we?
Right, yeah.
I'm super confused. Did he make a new game that he's teaching us that's basketball 2.0 and
maybe he's on some Mike McDaniels, Kyle Shanahan type hype where he's like the new age coach who has a lot of these nuances that are different because like even LeBron is probably like the biggest reason the Lakers even went after Dan Hurley. He was like, oh my goodness, their offense looks so great when he was watching the UConn games and tweeting about that. So maybe he has something that, people ain't seen yet.
I don't doubt it. All that I'm saying is that like, the weight of a franchise like the Lakers to say like the changing of the culture to me is just like, they said that when Phil Jackson came in, and Phil Jackson had 6 rings. I'm like, what? I get it. Like, college is amazing, UConn is amazing, but like the other biggest thing for me is like, would Hurley not have to make a ton of changes? Like, this is a guy who's really good at coaching 18-year-olds. He'll be coaching dudes that are like, bro, I made more than you on my rookie contract. Dan, back the fuck up. Right? And so I don't know. Like I said, I'm not doubting, and I love your point in terms of maybe he does have something, and clearly it's working in the space that he's in. For me, I always question people putting that much, merit towards somebody when to me that's a huge jump. And we've always seen it be a huge jump. And so for me, it was just questionable fit on both ends. Like I almost feel like he saved both sides because I feel like if they really wanted Hurley, they wouldn't have done that. Like you don't put extra weight. He's already going to have enough weight signing on to that. So then you sit there and say, I mean, if all of this happens, we're saved. And it's like, okay, now I'm definitely not coming.
And to your point about the people making more money than him, he would for surely say back to them, who do you think you are? I'm Dan Hurley. You're not going to talk to me like that. Like,
definitely.
And there would definitely be a confrontation.
Definitely. And then even officiating too. It's like Dan Hurley would probably be kicked out of a lot of NBA games. Because, bro, what he be doing in college, and they love him, and they love him in college because he makes a lot of money. But there's so many times in college where he's walking all over the court,
he's screaming at
half court,
He's trying to get more money. He said, like they're giving him like $8 million a year. I think he wants about 10. So that's like some Bill Self money.
And I don't blame him.
Back to back, who does that?
Right. And the last thing I'll say on this subject is, the Lakers definitely did lowball him if they really did want him like that. Mm-hmm. But I also think that what's funny is the number, I think, reflects the reality of the situation, which is that, they love Dan Hurley, but like that is what Dan Hurley is worth in the NBA right now, in my opinion. Like I love Dan Hurley. I think he's amazing. But I personally don't believe he would walk in and change any franchise. Like I think it would take him, same kind of Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr walked into a team that was amazing. But even him, when he walked in, everybody knew for a fact he wasn't coaching. It was like, dog, thank God we got these assistants, bro, because you're just here waving your hands around. And same with Jason Kidd. Like Jason Kidd, when he first got in the league, was terrible. Mm. And now he's one of the best coaches in the league. So I'm not saying Dan Hurley couldn't make that leap eventually. I just think after hyping him up like that, to give that number, to me it says more that all along y'all looked at him as a very, very good first-year option. And if you thought of him as much more than that, then the number would have been higher. Mm. You don't make him the sixth highest. He would have been the sixth highest, but you don't make him the sixth highest if he's Phil Jackson, right?
I would say I think it's more bad form on the Lakers in the sense of like they're trying to like get away with shit because they're the Lakers instead of like, oh yeah, we're gonna pay somebody what they're actually worth in the market right now. So you can't say, or I mean you can't, somebody can say it, but like if you are doing what you're doing at this level, which is back-to-back NCAA championships, it's like if nobody else is doing that, then your worth is going to be a lot higher than it would be if you were just, I'm a really good winning coach in college. Just like, right. And especially like the climate of how contracts are given out these days, it's like, you're just comparing me to the next person. So that next person isn't doing what I'm doing. So that's why I should garner a little more millions out here. But clearly, like you said, the Lakers are not valuing him that high. They want to be like, yo, man, you're getting blessed by coming to the Lakers. We're not getting blessed by you coming to us.
Right. And I mean, I think also, to me, it speaks to, I think that's what Dan Hurley would get going to the league. Like, I think he'll get around that range. I think no other college coach has ever transitioned in and gotten into the top 10 immediately. And so I think, that's about what he would be worth without any resume on the table of winning. And when you look at the 5 coaches ahead of him, like these are all championship coaches. Mm. These are all guys that have won rings, and most of them have won multiple. So to me, I think it's just a perspective thing where I don't think Hurley would be more valued in the NBA. So why go? Mm. So next we got the WNBA. As we always do, this is swift, quick, because, hey, action isn't quite as hot as it once was at the start of the season. And, we're going to cover everything once it gets to the end of the season. So we don't want to get all in your face in the middle. Anyway, though, Caitlin Clark has been, as always, at the front of all talk. And, a little bit of what we'll talk about here is if that's okay in itself. But Caitlin Clark being treated unfairly by other players has come up a lot. She's getting fouled. There's a lot of hard contact going against her. And so we're going to ask Mitch a little bit about how he feels about, is that true? Is there truth to this? Is this all cap? And then also she's been left off of Team USA, which a lot of people also kind of got their, feathers ruffled up by this. Even though her reaction was, in my opinion, as good as you can be, where it was just, that's a very, very talented roster, and she's very young. And so, she'll have plenty of opportunities to make that in the future. Do you think she's being treated unfairly here in some of these situations, or do you think that this is being blown out of proportion?
I think there's multiple sides to it, or that I see from it, because on one hand, you can take it as, they're hating and they're, being mean to her on purpose because she's getting all the attention and stuff like that,
right?
And the hype. But then on the other side, it's like, you can also see it as, why did she get all this hype, and why didn't the focus when they were trying to bring more attention to the WNBA instead of being on these new like college players?
Right.
There's still some like pretty young, probably like 28, 29, 27-year-old women in the WNBA who are these better players than the rookies that are in there right now who are getting the shine. Mm-hmm. So it's like, why wasn't that the shift when they were trying to like boost the NBA of being like, what about Aja Wilson or Asia Wilson or somebody, just like maybe propelling them a little bit more alongside the attention that the college players were getting and garnering for the whole WNBA. So for me though, I think I'm pretty 50-50 with it. I think the WNBA players as a whole seem to be doing a pretty bad job of like accepting this attention that they're now getting, because it's like, is this how it's always been with the people like who actually were paying attention to you before? Like, were you just being hella rude to them? Is that like, is this how you guys always are? Because
it's like it's like when you're young and there's that girl who has a crush on you, and you finally give her that attention, and she just acts like a straight bitch to you. Like, that's what it reminds me.
It's like you guys are finally getting attention, but then you guys are acting ridiculous and kind of just being rude to people all the time. Like, that's what we're seeing on TV of all your interactions with the media, with anybody out there, is like, you guys are being defensive about stuff, and it's like, what do you said we weren't giving you attention, and that's what we're giving you now. Like, what's the issue? Now it has to be the right kind of attention every time.
Right.
Now it feels like I have to watch you and comment on you in certain ways, or else other people are out of pocket for saying anything negative about what you guys are presenting out there. So I would say like maybe they need some more media coaches or something like that of how to like interact with the public a little bit more, because that hasn't been something that they've needed to do before with less attention. But now that they have it, it's like, let's smile a little bit, like let's enjoy it a little bit. Like, these other NBA and stuff, they've been going through the media for a while and having to deal with people, getting on them. So I can understand a little anger there, but it's like here, it's like, let's get excited about people talking about the WNBA and you guys being like, instead of hyping on the negative things that are happening, just hype up like, you see how good things are. You see how good we play. Look at Asia Wilson. Like, talk about your other players and highlight them in the press conferences when you guys are on TV. So to show to other people and inform them who these people are.
Right.
So that's what I need to see more than them hating on Caitlin Clark, except that she's going to be kind of the golden goose right now. But be happy with that and just feed off that.
Don't ball in the light.
Don't go against that and be confrontational about one person getting the attention. No, all you guys are going to get more attention now because she's getting highlighted.
Yeah, I've seen way more girls in ads, way more WNBA ads. Yeah. So I'm just like, step in the spotlight instead of like being, pissed how it got here. Just use it, So I'm in agreement. I don't really have too much more to add on that. Besides, I think that, just be responsible for your actions. Like, you don't see NBA players walking up to the news and being like, yeah, that wasn't a flagrant. When it's a flagrant, and it's just like, that man up. Like, it was a bad foul, my fault. Like, basketball is basketball. that's when basketball's basketball to me. Is when you're able to admit it, take responsibility for it. Yo,
I'm not even mad y'all are hitting there. Like,
right,
that's fine. You know what I'm saying?
To
like,
me, it's just weird that y'all are acting like you're not. Where I'm like, it's okay. Like, be like, yeah. Like, who wouldn't go after the number one pick? Like, that's the point of competition. But instead, they're all sitting there acting like, I fouled her? Like, where? You know? And it's like, all right, now, I mean, guys, we know who, so it's just weird. But then, yeah, I think being left off the U.S., I think, is really more of an attention thing, which I think is awesome. I do think she deserves it. And if you look at like the young players the men put on the team, where it's like, bruh, I think she could be serviceable. But I think at the end of the day, they've learned how much Caitlin Clark brings in terms of attention. And I think the Team USA made a choice because of how stacked that roster is. So let's just ball, you know. And even though she could probably help in one way, shape, or form, it wouldn't be able to outweigh the potential negatives of all the attention and stuff. So lastly, before we let Mitch finish the show off with the, Mitch's corner, as we always do, turn into a hot one. I just want to say in the soccer world, the U.S. lost to Colombia 5-1. This was a friendly, but this is a friendly build-up to Copa America, sorry. And just to be clear, all of South America so far has beaten the Central and Northern Americas at least by 4 goals in every matchup. So scary hours for all of us over here on these other American continents, because it doesn't look good going into it. And out with Berhalter. Get that coach out of here. Our team is way too talented to lose like that. Colombia's dope. I'm Colombian. Love it. But that was like a disgrace to watch that game. And Colombia didn't even really have their A's out there. Excuse me. So wild stuff. And we will have more soccer for you next week.
I just want to get one more in. Who do you think, is there somebody out there that the USA could get as a coach that would, rally these young guys and get them to be contenders?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question.
I feel like it's interesting in the football world.
It is.
To try and get a coach.
It is. And you got to have somebody that kind of knows where they're coaching, because you want them to somewhat know the culture. For me, I would love to see Jurgen Klopp. This is a dude who's very familiar with the German-American pipeline. He was the coach of Dortmund as they were bringing over Pulisic and Gio Reyna. And he's very familiar with the English language, coaching, plenty of time in Europe and England specifically. So I would love to see somebody like that who doesn't have an interest in coaching club right now and really would be looking to build again. So,
that'd be dope. That'd be sick.
Yep. So let's go ahead and let Mitch take away the MLB hot corner as always. For you playing fantasy, for you watching baseball, for you who just love the good old American pastime, get your ears ready, listen up, get your notepads out. Mitch, take it away.
It's going to be a lot. Hold on. One second.
Agua.
All right. So, like normal, we're going to be going over the last couple weeks. We got some good hitters. We got some good pitchers. And then right now, the big thing in baseball going on, because the MLB is kind of, in those dead times, game 50, game 60, at 162. So it's kind of whatever right now. But we got the Super Regionals just happened, and we have these guys punching their tickets to Omaha to the College World Series. So first and foremost, we'll go over the MLB. We got our hot hitters right now over the last 2 weeks. My man, Fernando Tatis Jr. has been loving the summer sun out there in San Diego. He's batting .426 with 4 home runs and 11 runs over the last 2 weeks. Really heating up this time of the year. Like to see it. Somebody who was very much struggling through the whole first part of the season, Alex Bregman, finally having a good couple of weeks.
Man.
Batting .362, 5 home runs, 10 RBIs. If you have him on your fantasy team, you've known the struggles with him. It's been tough this year. Third base as a position has been pretty tough.
Nasty.
Guys like Austin Riley have been slacking.
Nasty business.
Alex Bregman been slacking. Basically, it's just been Jose Ramirez holding it down for the third base spot.
Good old Trusty.
Next, we got Adley Rutschman, that catcher for the Orioles, man. He's batting .333 with 3 home runs, 12 RBIs. Had a grand slam in his last game. Shouts out to him with a powerful Orioles team right now. Then the absolute Judge.
Bruh.
Aaron Judge.
Drop the gavel.
God, This guy can hit. 429, 7 home runs, 20 RBIs over the last 2 weeks.
Ugh.
You're winning every week, every category if you have him on your team.
Just hit another one today.
Just hit another one today as we speak. This guy can't stop hitting them. When you're 6'7" and above 250, you're just going to be knocking them out the park.
Get it out of here.
Get
it out of here.
And last but not least, the shout out my man, San Francisco Giants. We got an unknown in Helio Ramos.
Beast, youngster.
Over the last 2 weeks, batting 364, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs.
Pure swing.
Reminiscence of some Luis Matos weeks when he batted like 400 and had 16 RBIs in 2 weeks. So another young guy coming in, having a hot start for his career. Nice to see. So we move on, and we got our pitchers now. We got Corbin Burns for the Orioles. The ace for those guys. It was a great move for them to make, trading for him from the Brewers. He had 3 wins in his last 3 starts, .43 ERA, 16 strikeouts in 21 innings. He's shutting it down for them. It's nice to have a good offense behind you and a good defense as well. Next, for the Yankees, we got Carlos Rodon coming off his injury from last year. People didn't know what he was going to do this season. He's been having a great start. 3 wins this last 2 weeks, 2.84 ERA, 17 strikeouts in 19 innings. Good old Yankee offense. Bronx Bombers helping you out, and you're showing what you had before your injury, which was a Cy Young candidate pitcher. Yeah. Then we got Gavin Stone for the LA Dodgers. Man, it's crazy. All 3 of these teams just have guys who rake for them on offense. Yeah. So it must be nice to have that, but have also been shoving Gavin Stone for the Dodgers. 3 wins, a 1.02 ERA. With 19 strikeouts in 17 innings. He's shutting it down. He had a kind of rough start to the season, had a lot of hype behind him. Now he's really showing what he can do. And then last but not least, I'm going to give a little shout out to a relief pitcher, closer, Carlos Estevez for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. 1 win and 3 saves in his last 4 appearances. So he's shutting it down to 0 ERA in those 4 appearances as well. So he's really shutting it down for Angels team that not doing too hot. So it's nice to see somebody showing out for them. All right, now to the good stuff.
To the meat.
Whew, Super Regionals just happened, and if you didn't watch, you missed out. You guys, hop on to this College World Series because these games have been all league, all world this time.
Showdowns.
It's not just blowouts. These games are going down to the last innings. So first, we had the Tennessee versus Evansville. Yes, Evansville. I know nobody's heard of them before, but they are a college, and they could hit. They could really play, but really, out of the series of best of 3, they were able to take Game 2 away from Tennessee, the number 1 seed in all of college baseball. Ooh. But when it came down to it, Tennessee in that Game 3 was way too much, and they took them out, punching their ticket to the College World Series. Tennessee again. Number 1 team in the nation, going to be a tough out. Next, we got Florida State versus UConn.
Seminoles.
Florida State won the series 2-0, but it came down to a great 12-inning game for Game 2. My man James Tibbs III for Florida State hit 3 home runs in Game 2. Yep, big Tibby. And in the 12th inning, when it was tied up, he came up and hit a bomb. It was tied 8-8, 2-run bomb in the top of the 12th inning, and they ended up winning 10-8. That guy can rake. Watch out for Tibbs. He's got swagger from the left side of the plate. Next, we got Kansas State versus Virginia. We can move through that one quickly. Kansas State was winning 3-2 into the 4th inning of the first game. Never led any time after that. Yikes. Virginia. Smack that real quick. Got him out of there.
Go ahead and book that ticket.
Book that ticket for the Virginia Cavaliers. Next, we got West Virginia versus the North Carolina Tar Heels.
UNC, baby.
And you know what they calling them right now? Chapel Thrill. Chapel Thrill. The boys are out there having 2 very exciting games. Game 1, I want to give a shout out to West Virginia for both these games. I would say this was probably the best series out of all of them.
Okay. And boy, UNC?
Because West Virginia's pitcher, Derek Clark, really pitched 8 innings, 8 in the 3rd innings in Game 1, and held them and had them going strong, 5-5 at that point. but then gave up a leadoff home run in the top of the ninth inning. And then the reliever that came in for him gave up 2 more. So they ended up losing 8-6 that first game, but that was very close. Came all the way down to that ninth inning.
That's
he
tough.
Pitched 8 1/3, 144 pitches. Boy threw his arm out trying to get that win.
144 is nuts.
And then in the second game, it was dominated by pitching. Both sides were shoving. It was a 1-0 game, and then 1-1 in the 7th inning, and then 2-1 in the 8th, and they just took it over. Everything was good with the pitching, just couldn't get any hitting, and the West Virginia really just couldn't hold up against that North Carolina team. So North Carolina, we'll see you at the College World Series.
Book that ticket, boys.
Next, we got Kentucky versus Oregon State. Kentucky 2-0 this one. Oregon State really didn't show up. Their patented pitching and defense really didn't help them. Travis Benzine didn't really get a chance to show off what he's really good at. He's a top pick in the draft, but really only got 1 hit during that game too, where they were really trying to make a comeback. It's tough, man. Oregon State was really supposed to show out for the Pac-12, but they really fluttered out. Kentucky's definitely a top team in the nation, so it's going to be exciting to see them. They really showed their dominance in this one and took out Oregon State from the very get-go. Next, we got Georgia versus NC State. NC State, I feel like, was just too much of a consistent team, too much power. Anytime Condon or anybody from the Georgia team stepped up in the innings and scored runs, NC State always had a response every time. I think they just have too much depth. They're too much of a better team compared to Georgia, who really have like a 1-2 punch with the top of their lineup. Just couldn't keep up, and North Carolina State just seems like a more complete team. So NC State and North Carolina both in the College World Series.
Wow.
North Carolina showing out.
Wow.
Next, we got Florida versus Clemson. Probably the most exciting game of the entire Super Regionals.
Okay.
Game 1, Clemson had a strong start, 4-2 lead into the 5th inning. Then Florida scored 7 runs in the 5th inning. And from then on, it was just Florida all the way. They ended up taking that one nice and easy. But then game 2, Jack Caglione, the Florida's best player, pitcher, and hitter. He was pitching this game. Things got heated early. There was a ground ball in the 2nd inning, right back to the pitcher. Jack Caglione runs over to the batter, running, and they start having a little shoving. We got benches clearing out here. You know, things got interesting. And then there was people were getting a little feisty. There was a long wait while the umpires went to go check and, see who did what, who started what.
Who's getting booted.
Yeah, who's getting booted. And unfortunately, one player for Clemson did get booted. But honestly, he shouldn't have. He really didn't do anything. They showed the replays over and over again. It had to have been something he said, because you see his actions. It literally doesn't look like he did anything. So
come on, Blue.
That was unfortunate. So this second game was close all the way through. 9th inning, Florida was up 9-6. And then the center fielder for Clemson, Cam Cannarella, beast of a man, down 9-6, 2 men on, top of the 9th, hits a 3-run bomb to center field.
Bumble clot.
Kills it for them, ties the game up, sends it to extra innings. In extra innings, Florida has 2 men on in the 11th inning. Bottom of the 11th, guy hits a shot to center field. Cam Cannarella makes a Jim Edmonds jump like King Griffey over the shoulder into the fence.
Wow.
Captures the ball, keeps the game going for another inning. Clemson then scores another run in the top of the 12th inning. But unfortunately, Florida was just too much offense. Had 2 runners on. Everybody was focused. Everybody was playing in to try and stop the guys from scoring on 2nd and 3rd. Guy hits a double into the gap. Game's over. Florida comes out on top, 9-7. So tough one, but Florida came out of this one against Clemson. A great, great series, and they are ones who's punching their ticket to the College World Series. And then last but not least, we got the Texas A&M versus Oregon.
Ooh,
Pac-12, the last of the Pac-12, and they did not show out.
Oh, so it is the last of the Pac-12.
It was the last of the Pac-12 and Oregon teams for this Super Regionals. Texas A&M just took care of business, dominated both games. Oregon tried to keep it close game 2, but it was just too much. SEC and ACC, which is all the teams who are going to the College World Series, are ACC or SEC teams.
Wow.
Showing their dominance. And that is your roundup for the College World Series. The teams that are in there and that you should go watch: Virginia, North Carolina, Florida State, Tennessee. Then we got North Carolina State, Kentucky, Florida, and Texas A&M. So we got 2 North Carolinas and 2 Floridas. Who are you going to pick? Let us know in the comments. Who's your favorite out there? What players are you excited to see, man? So let us know, and we'll get back to y'all.
Absolutely. And coming in the next week's following episodes, we're definitely going to have updates on the MLB draft that's going to be approaching as well. So a lot of these guys that we're talking about, Mitch will eventually be shifting that narrative towards where will these guys potentially fall. So, whatever team you support, you're not going to want to miss this, because he's going to be able to give you guys insight on who you guys might be looking at to help that team in the future. So, again, we appreciate y'all being here. I got to give myself a big pause. I said, bring it to the meat or something right before we went into that. So, just before
on the pause count.
Yeah, I don't want Cam and Mace to come kill me. So I just got to get the pause counter going. That's one for me. Clip that. You got it. If you do clip it, you'll see my face is depressed immediately after the release upon it, and I didn't know how to deal with it.
No,
the release upon it is crazy too. So as soon as I spoke it, I immediately regretted it, and I was just hoping Derek could say something profound enough to where, man, we'll never have to double back on that. But yeah, I'm gonna clean up what needs to be clean.
Been thinking about that for the last 2 minutes.
I had to.
The whole last segment. He's I said me.
I was like, I can't leave receipts out here. I was like, man, I got to go ahead and pay this debt. So, deal is done. Again, don't forget the 50. We love you guys for being here every week. Again, utilize the comment section to speak with us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.